And we're back with the Classic Auto Mall Show from the Classic Auto Mall Studio in Morgantown, Pennsylvania, show number 198. Joining us weekly, Mr. Keith Martin, publisher of Sports Car Market magazine. You've been busy to the past few days, haven't you?
I have been on a busman's holiday.
Well, that sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, the Oregon region of the Northwest Porsche Club puts on 2 tours of the year, and it's 40 cars each time, and you travel about 1,500 miles in 5 days.
Wow, that's not nothing. That's covering a lot of real estate.
It's moving. It's moving. We started off at Mount Hood. We went from there to Leavenworth, Washington. From Leavenworth, Washington, we went to Sandpoint, Idaho. From Sandpoint, Idaho to Walla Walla. Walla Walla back to Hood River, and then back home.
Any inclement weather along the way?
Yeah, the sun was just bright. It's for we Oregonians, it's a little scary because we look up at the sky and we say, "What's that big yellow thing over there? What is that? Is that going to hurt us someday?"
Probably.
So we had a lot of blinding sun as we carved through the Montana canyons. It was really fun.
So sunglass sales in Oregon are quite slim. That's not where they base their quarterlies and yearly sales figures on, right?
Umbrellas.
Umbrellas, yes. Or brellies, as they call them, and wherever they call them. So, so this was a Porsche meet, if you will, but they do it once a year, I take it.
Well, they do it twice a year. They have 40 slots, but the 40 slots were filling up so fast that they opened up a whole nother tour. They do one in the spring and one in the fall.
Oh, wow. Wow. And
they sell out in about 30 minutes.
Right. Well, it's something that, like anything anymore, if something's really popular and enjoyable, it's just with online, it can just sell out right away. You don't have to mail in a check or wait for any of that, clip a coupon out of the back of a magazine or anything like that.
It's also, the reason we own these cars, I mean, you're there because you still got a Lotus Europa you need to sell. I know that's your primary basis, and I'm going to keep trying to push that car every week.
I know you will.
To help you along.
Thank you.
But we own these cars so we can drive them, and you really want to drive them on a 2-lane road in some place that's fun. Driving from here to Salem, which is 45 miles away on the freeway, in your 50-year-old car with 3-ton pickups cruising by you and people texting is not my idea of fun.
I don't like to be on a highway or an interstate or a turnpike in a car that's older than the 1990s. Even it's not pleasant. You can't go fast enough comfortably, and people, like you said, are not paying attention and whizzing by and cutting you off, and they don't realize that the braking capability of a 55 Bel Air is not quite the same as a 2025 Escalade.
No, that's exactly right.
So these tours that you do, obviously, does it include hotels and lodging and meals and all that?
Yeah, it's there are different kinds of tours have sprung up. The ultimate all-inclusive is where it's like a cruise ship.
Right.
You show up, your meals are taken care of, your rooms are booked, the whole thing. Those can get real expensive.
Sure.
The California Millet is now $15,000.
Wow.
And that doesn't include shipping your car to California, you flying out. It's all luxe. It's all 5-star hotels, and it's. I'm not going to say it's not worth the money, but so that could end up being $20,000 to $25,000.
Right. Which is not everybody can afford, even if or wants to afford, for that matter. It might be just out of the reality realm for some people.
Well, with our tours, we ran 4 of them, and after COVID, the cost of hospitality, of lodging and meals, just skyrocketed, and our tour ended up costing us $400,000 to put on.
Wow. Well, I mean, when you see hotel rooms, you and I have talked about this. You go to Amelia Island, and the Ritz-Carlton down there is $1,500 a night. I mean, even if you get the group discount, it's still well north of $1,000 a night.
Well, what the Porsche Club does, which I find is interesting, you pay a fee, say $1,500 for your car, but then they give you a list of the hotels that we'll be staying at, and you call and you book your own room and you pay for it yourself.
Sure. That kind of makes more sense in some respects. I think more of on a budget-friendly tour, if you will.
Yeah, and it also relieves the responsibility of the organizers in terms of having a high-paid coordinator to book 40 rooms.
Yeah, I always thought the most interesting thing about Formula One is the fact that they've got to make that all come together, and rooms and meals and transportation and air for all these, however many 300 people that travel with them. It's frightening to know what the logistics of that have to be.
I would bet that the person who manages all of that gets paid a ton of money.
Yeah, I would. And has got the most stressful job on the planet, because,
that's right.
If you don't get Lewis's room just right, he's going to be pitching a fit. So,
Well, I forget, what did the rock stars? There were some rock stars that needed jelly beans in their room. And
No. Well, the Van Halen used to, in their musical rider back in the day, said they want M&Ms in a bowl of M&Ms, but with no brown M&Ms in the bowl. And they only did that because they wanted to know whether somebody was paying attention, because that's the low end of importance. The high end of importance, if they're missing the rigging for the lighting and the sound that's hanging above their heads, and they knew if they missed the brown M&Ms that there's other things they could have missed, and you need to start looking deeper into it. It sounded like a prima donna thing, but it really wasn't at all.
But, Stewart, where that comes back to cars, when you're taking in a consignment, when you walk around a car and you open up the hood and there's wrong hose clamps and wrong filters and things like that, that's the stuff you can see.
Right, exactly.
And that only makes you wonder what else wasn't done right when this car was put back together.
Yeah. Nothing worse than a shiny, pretty car, beautiful interior, fantastic wheels and tires, open the engine compartment and it looks like, it's been in the desert. It's just, it's people forget about that part of it. And like you said, how many people never look under their hood? How many people never see their car on a lift all these years? One of the things that we, balance back and forth is like, we show all these pictures of the underneath, which is the way we do business and the way we want to do business. But there's guys that could own these cars and they'd never even see that view of it, and it would never affect them. But you got to do the right thing in this business. It's hard enough to be successful in this business. Don't add on the factor that you're trying to, pull the wool over people's eyes.
And Stuart, I bought a 2018 Elantra new, and the salesman was delivering it to me, and I said, "Well, how do you open the hood?" And he said, "Well, why would you want to do that?"
What do you're going to do what I did. I open the hood and I go, okay, that's a lot of plastic shiny things right there. And, there's this. And it's not the same looking under the hood as it used to be.
Well, what really has changed things? There's two eras. One is when all the smog control, before they got a computerized ignitions, and before OBD2, the strong smog controls were just all these vacuum tubes laying everywhere under your hood.
Right.
Think of a Jeep Grand Wagoneer.
Oh, yeah. That's 100 mile of vacuum tubes.
Right. And then OBD2 came in, and things really got better.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that people don't realize that the complexity of an engine nowadays. I mean, there's not much shade tree mechanic stuff going on. You're not really tweaking a new car much anymore. I mean, half the time you're not even sure where to put the jumper cables on to jumpstart it if you need to do that,
Well, and also, if you let your battery go flat, you're toast.
Yeah, it's not good. And when they go really bad. And they go, nothing worse than a brand new battery and, a year or two old, and it's toasted, and especially those high dollar Optimas and things like that are $300 and $400 for a battery. You don't want to replace those too terribly often.
Well, the other thing is you might have to reprogram your whole car.
Right. What was it? Was it you that said that the year got off the computer or something? Was that last week or a couple of weeks ago? We were talking about that. Somebody had a car and it didn't even know what year it was.
Oh, that my Lotus Elise, it ate its VIN. So when we went through the emissions testing, the VIN came up as all zeros. And the guy said, "Well, I'm sorry, sir, but your car doesn't exist."
I love that. Yeah, it does exist because it's right here.
I know.
So you're worn out from this long tour. Are you got any other tours in the plans, in the works coming up?
I actually do, but let me back up for a second. Mm-hmm. Let me, on a personal note, what I found most interesting on this tour, my son was on the tour with a friend of his, and then I was on the tour with a buddy of mine.
Right.
But I had more time to talk to my son one-on-one when we were, like, he was driving and I was in the passenger seat. And so he's not texting.
Right.
we're talking to each other, and somehow when you're talking in a car, because you're not looking somebody in the face, it's easier to have a conversation because you're just talking.
Right. Yeah. You're not staring at each other trying to analyze whatever. You're just having a conversation, which is the best conversations you can have.
It was good. Well, and then each night there were 4 of us that had dinner together at the different restaurants. And I don't know when the last time I've sat with my son 5 nights in a row,
right.
Just 4 of us having a 2-hour dinner.
Yeah, and all brought together by the wonderful hobby that we made a business out of. How great is that?
That cars create adventures.
It absolutely does. Keith Martin, thank you so much, as always, for being on. Stay tuned, folks, to listen for a special offer from Sports Car Market Magazine. I got my Insider's Guide to Monterey. I'm mapping out my trip as we speak, and remember my first trip to Monterey, so we'll see how that goes.
All right, we'll see you next week.
Take care, Keith. Keith Martin, everybody. We'll catch you next week on the Classic Auto Mall Show. Thanks for listening.
Here's a special offer from Sports Car Market Magazine. Get a 6-month subscription for just $19.95 by going to sportscarmarket.com/test drive and the number 6. That's sportscarmarket.com/test drive 6. If you're a buyer, a seller, or just general classic car enthusiast, publisher Keith Martin says,
we've been around almost 40 years. It's the Wall Street Journal of the collector car world.
Activate your 6-month trial of Sports Car Market Magazine by going to sportscarmarket.com/test drive 6. Offers for a limited time. Be in the know with Sports Car Market.
The Classic Auto Mall Show with their host, Stewart Halen. Available on classicautomall.com, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts.